This week's episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. Use my code 10Rollins to get 10 free meals over your first 4 boxes of food. Every single year come draft season, there are prospects who have elite college production, but have serious question marks because of their physical measurables. Heck, just looking around the NFL, some of the very best players before they were drafted weren't the right height or weight, didn't run the right 40 time, or even had a slower 3-cone than Tom Brady, but yet still ascended to the top of their respective positions. Elite college production doesn't always translate to elite NFL production, so scouts and GMs right now are searching for indications why each prospect will or won't succeed at the next level. The problem is, sometimes those physical limitations do hold a player back and can't be overcome despite how absolutely dominant that prospect was in college. The player in question this year, Alabama wide receiver DeVonta Smith. Though he became the first receiver to win the Heisman since 1991, is Bama's all-time leader in yards and touchdowns, and finished this year with 1,850 yards and 23 tuds, there are still major questions in regards to his size, or lack thereof. Smith weighs in at just 174 pounds. And for context, since 2000, only 4 wide receivers weighing under 180 have had multiple 1,000-yard seasons, and Smith mysteriously didn't weigh in at the Senior Bowl last month, fueling speculation he's actually even lighter. Historically, receivers playing at that size have been an issue, but we know on this channel, the most important thing is how you perform on film. And trust me, there is a lot to like. While Smith doesn't have that prototypical size that scouts covet, everything else he possesses pops off the tape. He has excellent technique, smooth movements in and out of his breaks, Madden-level spectacular catches, impressive ability to catch balls way outside his frame, a diverse release package, and his high-end awareness and intelligence are all reasons why he's projected to go near the top of the first round. His best quality is his overall understanding of the receiver position, which can't be defined by measurables, and shows why he produced at such an insane level. He can adjust mid-game, mid-play to attack all types of coverage, and is creative in finding different ways to get open. And that has really nothing to do with his weight, 3-cone, 40 time, any of that. Here's an example from the national championship game against Ohio State, when Smith had 12 catches for 215 yards, 3 touchdowns, and all of that came in just the first half. Knowing Ohio State's tendency to base out of cover 3 zone, Steve Sarkisian dialed up a lot of cover 3 beaters like the sail concept to take advantage. Sail concepts flood the defense with 3 routes at 3 different depths, which works well against cover 3 since it really just has the deep third cornerback and curl flat linebacker. The sail concept sends one receiver deep, usually to run off the deep third corner, an intermediate sail route, and a flat route. It's really designed to vertically stretch the curl flat defender and make him pick his poison. So, to take stress off of him, Ohio State's adjustment is to keep the deep third corner down low to sit for the intermediate receiver and pass the deeper route to the safety. When Smith sees that safety bailing towards the middle of the field, he breaks his route flatter to the sideline and files Ohio State's adjustment into his memory bank for later. Except it doesn't come much later, because here on the very next play, Bama runs the same exact concept, albeit out of a different formation, and Ohio State runs the same exact coverage. But instead, Smith is the intermediate sail runner and is aligned inside in the slot. As we know, the corner typically carries the vertical route, but Smith anticipates the same adjustment as before. He sees the corner throttling down, so he knows he has to make an adjustment of his own. Usually, the sail route wants to angle higher towards the sideline so the curl flat defender can't break up the pass. Not only does Smith cut flatter, but he actually comes back towards the ball to make the catch and save his quarterback Mac Jones from throwing an interception. His concept and zone coverage awareness is one of the things that separates him. He's able to see the defense making adjustments, understand what that means in terms of the coverage, where the open space will be, as well as when the ball's being thrown, and he can do all of that while playing at full speed. It's really incredibly impressive. But before we continue breaking down just how deep his game really goes, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor HelloFresh. HelloFresh has come through for me in a big way during quarantine. It's given me the excuse to get better at cooking, have a blast doing it with family, and cooking up some of the best food that I have honestly ever made. They offer an endless amount of recipes to choose from and give you crazy fresh ingredients which are all packed with fresh produce sourced directly from farmers. Me and my aunt made the Gouda Vibes hamburger with tomato onion jam and potato wedges, and we felt like we were eating restaurant quality food. So even though dinner was over, we then pigged out with the honey glazed pork tenderloin, and that was bomb too. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and prepping by pre-portioning the food, so it takes less time to make these flavor-packed breakfasts, lunch, and dinners, and makes it so you waste way less of the food. If you're sick of going to the grocery store, especially nowadays, save the 40+ minute trip and have even better food sitting right there whenever you're ready to eat. So if you want to give it a try, save money and time, and eat better food, go to HelloFresh.com and use my code 10, ROLLINS, to get 10 free meals across 4 boxes of food, including free shipping on your first box with purchase. Again, that is HelloFresh.com, and my code 10Rollins will get you 10 free meals and free shipping on your first box. Now, let's get back to the video. Making adjustments is critical at the next level, and Smith doesn't just read coverages exceptionally well, but can also adjust to attack specific defenders by altering his techniques during the game. He uses elements of Davante Adams' release package, like Adams' hop release, where he'll actually get both feet off the ground and then react to however the cornerback, here Shaun Wade, is playing him. Smith uses the hop release to try and move Wade inside, then gives a small stick to try and create more room so he can make his way up the sideline. But Wade does a good job of staying within his own technique and timing up Smith's release. You can see Smith gets a little bit stuck when Wade gets hands on him, and that's an issue we'll talk about later, but Smith still has the awareness to be able to win the rep. He knows that on a fade route, when the corner is stacked over the top, the back shoulder throw is open for business. So when he turns around and the ball's in the air, he adjusts back behind him and fully extends outside his frame to make the catch. It's a nice play. But still, Wade timed up his hop release a little too easily, so Smith knows he needs to go deeper into his arsenal to create separation off the line. He knows it's not necessarily how quick he can release, but how to change the tempo in his release when the corner has a bead on him. Ohio State shows a similar coverage with the free safety in the middle and Wade on an island, and Smith knows this time how to beat him. He gives Mac Jones a little hand signal telling him he wants the fade, and it's on. Smith again attacks Wade's inside to create room out, but instead of the quicker hop move, he slow plays it with a hesitation single release. He foot fires to square him up, then at the last second gives a hard single stick to throw off Wade's timing, plus gives him that extra little sauce with the head fake, and Wade fails to stay in front of him. Wade is beat, but he still might be overplaying the back shoulder ball since he just saw it. Either way, it doesn't matter, because when Smith gets this type of free access off the line, nobody's catching him regardless. He can use a million different releases and understands how and when to use each one of them. It's not just knowing what to use to beat the man in front of you, but also what your role is within the offensive play call and concept so you can come open at just the right time. He short motions inside to run a 3-step slant and understands a few crucial things pre-snap. Bama is running a drag and over concept with an arrow route outside and an over the ball route up the middle. Jones will read the apex defender, who will either hang back towards Smith, which would open up the arrow, or he'll bite up, which would open up the slant. The safety is pretty shallow, almost linebacker depth, and Bama is in a condensed set. So Smith knows he needs to take his time and slow play his route to let the concept develop, clear up Jones's read, and let the safety expand away from the slant. With all this information gathered, Smith knows he doesn't want to fire off the ball, but instead tempos his route and uses what's called a rocker step. He gives a vicious right-left combo to sell the corner outside, then makes a silky smooth cut back inside for 6. Watch how he really throws his head, shoulders, and body to sell outside, and then how clean the move is back inside to come wide open. It all perfectly times up with the top of Jones's drop, and Smith walks it in. Later in the same game, Smith has the same 3-step slant, but now has to change the pacing of his route to fit within a different type of offensive concept. He understands that if he uses the slower rocker step, even though it did just work, he won't come open on time and Jones will get sacked. Bama is running an RPO run-pass option, which means it's a designed run play with everyone run blocking except for Smith. So if Jones keeps the ball to throw, the pass protection won't hold up for long. Smith sees the corner zone bailing with his butt to the sideline and is maintaining outside leverage. So Smith uses what's called a pressure step to hold him outside at the top of the route, then immediately break in. It's a much quicker move than the rocker step, and shows he has the ability to run the same route in a variety of ways to defeat the defender. And look how the moment Jones hits the top of his drop, Smith comes open right on time and still holds on after getting rocked. All of his traits as a route runner indicate that he has the potential to be a very effective receiver in the NFL. But my real question with him is, will his lack of positional versatility ultimately cap his ceiling? A scout once told me that when evaluating college receivers, to dig up every snap of press coverage you can possibly find. And it's pretty evident that beating press is Smith's biggest issue, which also brings us back to his weight. I love everything he can do in space, but when a defender jams him at the line or gets hands on him in the route, there are serious concerns about his play strength that aren't going away anytime soon, especially with the physicality in the NFL. He didn't get pressed too often in 2020, but when teams did, especially in the Georgia and Texas A&M games, his inability to get open early in the down was evident. And on the same note, he's a below average blocker in the run game, once again due to that lack of size, and will occasionally flat out get his butt kicked. In my opinion, his size limits some of his versatility, since you will pretty much have to commit to him as a true off-the-ball Z receiver, since even though he can beat press with speed, can't consistently beat it with power as a true X receiver, and can't repeatedly take the pounding inside as a slot. And while he's extremely versatile in all the things he can do as a receiver, as we saw today, I don't think he's versatile in terms of positional flexibility, and that limits his upside, especially as a high-end first-round pick. Does all of this mean he's gonna bust? No, definitely not. And he's a surefire first-rounder. But if he can't affect the game from a bunch of different spots in the field, that's the upside you're chasing when you spend a top 10 pick. Despite some of these limitations, DeVonta Smith is a true stud, and at the very least, will have an incredibly solid NFL career. He shows up in big games like no other, which is invaluable, and looking back at last year, he completely outproduced Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs, who were both picked in the top 15. The production is there. The elite ability on film is there. DeVonta Smith is going in the first round of the NFL draft in April. He's going to make your team better. The question is, can he measure up?